Gopala Nandana Parthavatsa Sudhir Bhokta Dugdhang Gitamrtang Mahat. Uh, there has been an interesting question, though the question is really very profound. Say, one of the participants has asked to explain Brahman in simple terms. Now, before starting the Gita shlokas, I shall attempt that, because now and then the reference will be to Brahman, because it is the Gita is Brahma Vidya and Yoga Shastra both. So, what is this Brahman according to Advaita Vedanta? Now, you know perhaps that the Brahman in Hinduism is very often described as Satchit Ananda. What does it mean? Sat means actually, in the context of Advaita Vedanta, eternal. Something which is eternal and which is changeless. That is called Sat. So that is Sat. And Ananda is your bliss, joy, etc. Now the other thing, Chit, that has to be understood clearly. What is this Chit of Advaita Vedanta? Chit means something, they say, Saprakasha, self-luminous. Again, this is not simple word, you see. When you are seeing something or perceiving something or conceiving something, there is a subject-object duality. You are seeing something, you are feeling something, you are tasting something, etc. So there is a duality. Subject is there, object is there. So there is really a gap between how an object is in reality and how I am able to cognize it. The subject, how does it cognize it? There is a gap. You see. Now, normally we are aware of these things not immediately but mediately. That means you're, for example, you are looking at a tree. It is not coming to you perception very you say without mediation. There is a mediation in the sense that the eyes are looking at it, the mind must be attached to it, etc. So then there is a reaction in the brain, and you see it, interpret it, and link it to your previous knowledge. Thereby you know that it is a tree, because you have seen trees earlier, etc., etc. So that is how we are aware normally. But self-awareness does not require any mediation. It is immediate. You see, uh, you are looking at the tree, and you also are aware that you are looking at this. So this is the kind of, you see, thing which happens. So consciousness of consciousness is identical with its being. You are conscious that of your consciousness. This thing must be, it is difficult, you see, it is difficult to understand, you see. So there was your great teacher called Chitsukha, a disciple of Shankaracharya. He says, Satprakash, or self-luminosity, he says that it is the capacity for empirical usage without being an object of awareness. So if you say so, an objection may be raised, because this capacity, is it an attribute of awareness, or is it an accidental property? You see? Now, this is, you see, this kind of definition which Chitsuka gives may apply to substratum consciousness, when due to ignorance you say that consciousness is the substratum of everything, you say, in this world, etc. Because you are in the domain of avidya, you are not seeing the unity, you are seeing diversity. So, but considered in itself, minus the avidya principle, consciousness is nothing but self-luminous. So that is, have you understood this point?
I have questions for me.
Yes.
So, but is it this consciousness which then illuminates other objects, the external objects as well?
Yes. In fact, the whole, you see, as the Upanishad says, Tasya bhasa sarvamidam bhivati. You see, it is because of this that everything is, because you see, to have the awareness, you require this chit. And awareness is connected with every perception.
Yes.
This awareness is connected with every perception. That's why Kena Upanishad says, Pratibodha Veditam. It is known with each perception
Yes.
because there is awareness.
Yes.
This awareness, this primal awareness, that is the chit. That is, you can understand this chit in that way. Coming to the other question of Sat, Sat means, you see, something which is changeless and which is eternal. That is the meaning of Sat in Advaita Vedanta. Ah. So the whole universe, there is nothing in this universe which is not changing, because universe is all items are composed and all compositions must be decomposed to be again recomposed in another manner. That is, you see, this is how the whole universe. But there is an eternal thing, this which is this awareness, and which is hello, yes, who is saying something?
Nobody is saying anything, Swamiji.
Okay, I heard a voice.
Yes, somebody joined and then I muted them.
I see. Okay, so this eternal, you see in another definition, for example, in the it is given in Taittiriya, Satyam Jnanam Anantang Brahma. So Brahma is Ananta Satya, truth, eternal, and Ananta Jnana. Jnana in this sense, because this awareness, you see, it does not mean that Brahman knows everything. It is saying that this knowledge, this awareness, unlimited awareness, Ananta, that is Brahman. So it is not, you see, this now coming to the technical side of it, Chitsuka says that this capacity is not a counter positive of an absolute absence in consciousness. It does not mean that. Although in the non-dual state, there is the empirical usage of consciousness, yet it is not absolutely devoid of such a capacity. For example, if you say that fire is something which burns, now it burns when it is in contact with something. But even when it is not in contact with something, it has the capacity to burn. It is something like this, you see. So this awareness is there. You see a fundamental awareness, and that is actually Brahman. It's the other side, it is the same thing which is eternally present. That's why it is Sat, and which, if you enter into it, because the only time you can enter real into it, when you have stilled your mind, when the mind does not exist, in the highest kind of meditation. Only in that case, you can really have a taste of it. Otherwise, you have to hear about it and you not really understand it. And not only that, even after hearing, there will be a doubt in the mind. So,
Swamiji, I have one question.
yes.
And this ananda, that is for this consciousness. While I have the consciousness, that's why the ananda, joy.
Ananda, you see, Ananda is because why there is suffering. It's the Gita says, you see, in one of the shlokas, it has been said in the Gita that Matra Sporshast Kunteya Shitoshna Sukhadukkada. Matra Sparsha, that means these sense organs are coming in contact with objects. That is giving you this sensations of small joys and small sufferings.
Mm-hmm.
You see? So when the mind itself is not there, mind has merged into your the cosmic mind. So in that state, you see, suffering is not there.
I
You see, for
mm-hmm.
example, when you have deep sleep, you see, deep sleep, in deep sleep you do not have any suffering.
Mm-hmm.
You see, even if you are a diseased person with, you see, which the disease in the body is giving you pain and difficulties, you say, but if you are fortunate enough to have a deep sleep, at that state, you see, there is no suffering.
Yeah.
Yet, there is no suffering, but there is a kind of joy also in deep sleep. But this joy is not your overflowing, unlimited joy. See, it is
Mm-hmm.
only in the state of highest samadhi, when the mind has dissolved in the cosmic mind, that you see, cannot be explained sufficiently in human language. It is in that state only you have some idea. Mm. As the Gita says, Sukham attantikam yattad buddhigahya matindiyam. It is beyond the sense organs, but it is grasped by your buddhi. That means the higher part of the mind, it you see, it grasps it. Therefore, you have the feeling of ananda. That's why they call it ananda. Hmm. So it is, you see, now since it is difficult, so the Gita in the 12th chapter, see, this question in the very beginning of 12th chapter, Arjuna raises a question. And to that, Krishna gives the answer. And you see, what is that answer? One should remember this, because otherwise there is a tendency always to cling to Brahman, which you cannot do easily. The Arjuna says in the beginning of 12th chapter uh, that those who are devoted to you always through your extreme devotion, they are proceeding, and those who are thinking of what is changeless and say what is not evident, that means talking about Brahman, you see, out of these two kind of persons, who is higher? That is the question is asked. So um, Krishna says that those who have always, you see, thinking of me with great devotion, they are the highest yogi. But then he adds, Krishna, however, those whose mind is occupied with that immutable, that which cannot be indicated, anirdesham, that which is not evident to the senses, to the mind, that which is everywhere, sarvatrakam, that which is beyond uh, our capacity of thinking about, achintya, kutastham achalam dhruvam, they all mean almost the same thing. That means it is immobile. I say there is no movement, there is no change in it. I say, and to, and these people also, they attain to me. I say, and there are another characteristics that they are always engaged in the service of all beings. Yeah. And then he will say, you see, this is very important. Kleshodhikatarastesham abbakta saktachetasam. The struggle is much more higher for those who are clinging to the impersonal. Abbakta hi gatir dukkhang dehavat viravapyate. Getting perfection through that impersonal path is extremely difficult for one who has a body. You see. So that is there. So you must remember these things. You see. So that is, you see. And not only that, Kathapanishad says that na birato duscharitat, na shanto na samahita, na shanta manaso vapi pragyanena enamapnuat. Even with full knowledge, academic knowledge, you see what Shastras are saying about this Brahman, if you have not your withdrawn from wrong deeds, if you are restless, na shanta, if you are not meditative, and if your mind is not pacific generally, nasanta manuso bapi, even with this theoretical knowledge, you cannot get this Brahman. Because it is extremely subtle. Your whole, you see, body, mind, sense organs have to be tuned in other, you see, way. And you must have a tremendous dispassion to. That's why very few people are, are candidates for sadhana in the impersonal way. You must remember these things. But still, it is good to study this because in your understanding, many things become a little clearer. So Krishna suggests that normally you should begin with karma yoga. Then through karma, you attain a certain amount of equilibrium. You see, you are not tossed too much by praise and insult, by loss or gain, etc. You have learned how to offer the fruits of action to God. You see, then when you have this, he will say in the 6th chapter that Aruruksha Muner Yogam Karma Karnamuchyate Yoga Arurasya Tasyeva Samah Karnamuchyate. That means to get to the state of an optimum yoga, you need to have karma yoga. When you have this, then you can leave karma for the time being to have shama. That means mental pacificity. That means other yogas you can attempt to intensify. See, that is the your. But Krishna advises that even if you have no necessity of karma yoga, you have much equilibrium, it is better to be in the sakta karmani avidyangsa yatha kurbanti bharata kuryad vidyang tatha sakto chikirshur loka sangraham. For the benefit of the world, you engage yourself in activity as if yourself uh, too much you have too much inclined towards the result, you see, karma, phala. So that means you maintain, I see, as the ordinary people, they do it through their attachment to karma phala. The highest kind of yogi, though they do not have this attachment, they seemingly do it. You see, the life of Vivekananda, the Holy Mother, Sarada Devi, these are examples. You see. Till the end of their lives, they worked for the good of humanity. They had no need of these things. So this is one thing, and let us begin the Gita now. Last time we said that Krishna was attacking the Vedic fundamentalists. You see, he said, they say, Yaimang Pushpitang Bacha, etc., etc. Now he's in the 45th shloka of the 2nd chapter. He's again describing this, and this kind of fundamentalists were, you see, in great number in ancient days. They used to call them your Purva Mimamsa people, or simply Mimamsa. So Trigunda Vishaya Veda Nishtrigunda Bhavarjita. He says that the whole Vedas, they deal with matters, you see, material ends, you see, the affairs of 3 gunas. But you should go beyond the 3 gunas. Not only that, Nirdando, Nitya Sattvasto, Niryoga Kshema Atmavan. Nirdanda, you are beyond the dual throng. He is giving the goal. Nitya Sattvastha. That means you are always in a state of mind where the Sattva Guna is dominant. Nir Yoga Kshema. Yoga, what is Yoga Kshema here? Yoga means you are trying to gather material things. That is yoga. And Shema means you are trying to keep them so that there is no loss due to theft or other reasons, you see. So, Nir Yoga Kshema, you are beyond this, you see. You are not focused on amassing wealth. and Atmavan. You have the Atmavan means you have this knowledge of Atman, that means not the highest knowledge, you say, but a kind of theoretical knowledge that there is some principle in you which is abiding, which is eternal, and the other portion, the body mind, they are changeful. Hmm. They will go from go from one birth through death to another birth, and this thing is repeated. Next sloka is very important also. यावानर्थोदोपाने सर्वतः संपुटोदके तावान सर्वेषु वेदेषु ब्राह्मणस्य विजानतः. There was an American president whose mother for a certain time was working as a nurse in Bombay. This president, when he came to India as US president, he quoted this 46th shloka of the Gita. Yavanarthudopane sarvata sankrutodake. That means when the whole country is inundated, you have little use of the pond by the side of your hut, because the whole country is the inundation, flood is there. Tavan sarveshu vedeshu brahmanasya vijanatah. Now, the wise man, this Brahman, who is vijanata, that means who has the experience of what is beyond the senses. He is not in the Gyani, he is Vijnani, Vijanata. For him, you see, the whole Vedas are of little use. As the pond by the side of your heart, when the whole country is flooded, is of little use, so the Vedas become of little use. As they say, Veda aveda bhavati. The Vedas lose their significance for such a high soul. Then there is a shloka which is often cited, that it was once on the postal stamp of India. Karmanyevadhikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana ma karma phalahetur bhur mate sangost karmani. Now, Karma Yoga is being discussed from many sides. Karmanyevadhikaraste. You have a right to action only. Ma phaleshu kadachana, not to the fruits thereof. Ma karma phalaheturvur. You should not be one who is prompted to action because you are thinking of this karma phala, that this result will happen, so I am putting in my effort, my time, my money. You see. Mate sangasta karvadi. On the other side, thinking that karma is is a bad thing because sins are accruing because of karma, etc. So you should not gravitate towards the other extreme, that means inaction. You should not be addicted to inaction. You must carry on the battle of life. Yogastha kuru karmani sangang taktva dhananjaya. So do karma in a state of yoga. And what is this yoga? Gradually it will be discussed. Yoga is mental equilibrium, that is yoga. Uh, and that is being described even in this shloka a little. Siddho siddho samo bhutva samattang yoga uchyate. When you achieve something, you are putting in your effort in a work, in a job to achieve something. If you are successful, there is one scenario. You are not successful, that is another scenario. In both these scenarios, siddha siddha samo bhutva, keep your mental equilibrium. Because you have offered everything to God. So siddha siddha samo bhutva samattang yoga uchyate. This mental equilibrium, say, this equanimity is what is called yoga. Durena hi avaram karma buddhi yoga dhananjaya. See, ordinary karma is much inferior than this buddhi yoga. Buddhi yoga means karma yoga applied with correct technique and correct method. Buddhau sharanamanicha kripana phalahetava. Take refuge in your buddhi. Buddhi, that means it must be, buddhi must be correctly informed. Otherwise, you cannot take refuge in buddhi. Mm. Uh, he's saying, Krishna, those who work for selfish gains are indeed pitiable. Kripana phalahetava. Buddhi yukta jahati ha ubhe sukrita dishkrite. Tasmad yogaya jujjasya yoga karmasu kaushalam. Another definition of yoga. Yoga is the karmashu kaushalam, is the strategy in work. Why? Because karma naturally will bind you. If you are successful, then your vanity comes and you become addicted towards more karma in that line because you have tasted some success. If you are not successful, then your mind is full of your sadness. So, um, that is the your um, condition. You see, so now the 50th sloka is saying that one who has the correct buddhi, he gives up both the meritorious acts and both sinful acts. It is because first of all, you have offered everything to God. So nothing, no merit is religious merit. That means by virtue of which you go to heaven, etc., is in your mind. Say. And not only that, if you have done some mistake in this work, that also will not give you a, a sinfulness because you have offered everything to God. Therefore, for the sake of you strive for this kind of yoga. And this state of yoga is the strategy in action, because otherwise action will bind you. कर्मजं बुद्धियुक्ता हि फलं त्यक्त्वा मनीषिणः जन्म बंध विनिर्मुक्ता padam गच्छन्ति अनामयम्. Now, karmajang phalang, this fruit due to your effort in certain direction. So people, the great people, Manishina, who have this correct buddhi, they give up. And after having given up this thing, they become, they attain that state where there is no bondage of birth. Janma bandha vinirmukta. Liberated from the bondage of birth, repeated births. And they attain to the state of freedom from all kinds of sorrow. Yada te moho kalilang buddhir brati tarishyati tadaganta sinirvedang sravyasya shutasya cha. It is another beautiful line. Your buddhi is now, you say, in the mire of delusion. When your buddhi will cross this mire, then you will attain indifference in regard to what? Nirbedang sutabhyacha sutasya. Whatever you have learned and whatever has to be learned regarding these things, you get indifference. Because you do not have need of all these shastras, etc. Shruti vipratipannati yada sashyati nischala samadhavachala buddhistada yogam avapsyasi. When, you see, your buddhi is now being fed up, you see, the bewildering scriptures, you see, because, and their interpretations, there are various scriptures, they are saying sometimes things in opposite direction, you see. So you have confusion in your mind, you see. So when your buddhi is bewildered by these puzzling instructions of shastras, and when you attain very steady state of samadhi, then you get this yoga. Now this leads to a question, and which is described in the last 18 shlokas, which are called Sthita Pragya Lakshana, characteristics of a man of steady wisdom. Steady wisdom, why? Because in the beginning, you may have wisdom, but again you lose it, this wisdom. Wisdom has not become steady. So after some time, the wisdom becomes steady. That is why Sthita Pragya. You may have Pragya, in the beginning flashes of wisdom, but you will not be able to retain it because your mind your sense organs, they are not prepared. So the question is asked here, you see, Sita pragasya ka bhasha samadhistasya keshava. What is the description of a person who has attained this steady wisdom? And samadhistasya means a man who has very deep introspection. Sitadhi king prabhasheta kimasita brajeta kim. How the person who is of steady wisdom, how does he speak? How does he sit? How does he work? Etc. So then Krishna begins to give an answer, which is one should try to remember this. You say, if you want to make progress. Mahatma Gandhi used to recite every day these your last 18 shlokas of the second chapter of the Gita. Sita Pragya Lakshmana. Priyahati yadakaman sarban partha managatan atmanevatmanatushta stita pragya saduchati. Yeah. When all desires have been given up, which are in the mind, and you are enjoying the self by yourself, atmaneva atmanatushta, then only you see you attain it. Next sloka is Dukkesha vignamanaha sukeshu vigarasprihaha vitaragvayakroda stitadir bunirchate. When there is adversity, you are not perturbed. When there is prosperity, you are not attached to it either. And you are devoid of attachment, raga, devoid of fear and of wrath. Then you see wrath, that means that kind of wrath which colors your whole mind, that is very bad. If you want to become spiritual, even in anger, you should keep one part of your mind in your as the guard, so that there is not excess. So Bita Raga Bhaya Krodha Stitadir Muni Ruchada. That kind of Muni or sage is called a person of steady wisdom. Sitadhi and Sita Pragya is the same thing. Yas sarvatra anavisneha tat tat prapya shubha shubham nabhinandati nadveshti tasya pragya pratishtita. Yas sarvatra anavisneha. Sneha means your fat. And figuratively, this sneha means your some affection. Java arthudopanes yassarvatra navisneha tat tat prapya shubha shubham. You get something which is advantageous for you, or something which is not advantageous, shubha and ashubha. But in any case, yes, sarvatra navisneha. You are not, I say, you are without any self-centered affections. Nabhinandati naddrishti. You do not greet something, you are not repulsed from something. When you have attained this state, your wisdom has become steady. So let us stop here. There is again a question regarding a shloka which I diffused to many of you. Uh, the shloka is this. It is a part of Sri Durga Apaduddhara Stotram, it is called. It is a hymn to Devi Durga and used for getting out of difficulties. This is a prayer kind of hymn. So I am repeating it slowly. One of the participants have put me a question regarding this. Anathasya, deenasya, trishnaturasya, kshudharthasya, bhitasya, baddhasya yantoho, tameka gatir devi, nistar katri, namaste yagattarini trahi durge. You have understood the meaning of this?
No, Swamiji, can you explain, please?
Anathasya, deenasya. But it ends with jantoho, that means the human animal who is orphaned. Anathasya, deenasya, who is poor and humble. Trishna turasya, who is thirsty. Kshudarthasya, who is hungry. Bhitasya, who is afraid. I say, for such a human animal, you say, Tameka gatir devi nistar gati. You are the only succor for all these your calamities. Namaste yagattani trahi durge. O Durga, you make us cross the ocean of samsara, jagattarini, protect us. That is the prayer. Anathasya deenasya trishna turasya kshudarthasya bhitasya baddhasya yanto. And the animal is bound, is in bondage. Baddhasya yanta tameka gatir devi. You are the only way out. Nistar katti. You can, you see, give us relief from this situation. Namaste yagattarini trahi durge. Bow down to you, you see, Devi Durga. So this is the shloka. So any question? So you have understood everything. Yeah.
It's
Thank you.
never easy to understand everything.
Huh?
It's never easy to understand everything.
Yeah.
But we have.
Because you see, the talk about Brahman, there are many things about Brahman has been said in the Shastras. Now, Brahman cannot be sufficiently described because it does not resemble anything in this universe, anything in the manifested universe. But why they say so many words? Idea is to propel your reflection in a certain direction.
Right.
You have to do it, you see.
Right.
So to inspire and propel your your buddhi in certain direction, all these
Direction.
things are being said.
Thank you very much, Swamiji.
No mention. No mention.
Thank you, Swamiji. Pranam, Swamiji.
Yes.
Pranam.
Thank you, Swamiji,
Okay.
for the lesson.
Yes.
Can I
Yeah.
ask something which is very basic, but something you said in the Keno Upanishad, that the being came, and then you about fire and wind and couldn't vanquish, and the saying of
That
Iran,
is
Quran, Khurasan, and
that is
Afghan.
no,
You
these are
remember that?
no,
In
this
the
is a
context.
separate thing. These are
Yes.
separate. Let us concentrate on the Kesha Upanishad study. At the end of the Kena Upanishad, there is a story that there was great festivity in the heavens.
Right.
The gods, they have won over the battle over the demons.
Correct.
So there was and then at that time, a peculiar something appeared in the firmament.
Mm.
So, in the king of gods, he sent Agni. The Agni, you go and find out what it is. You see. So when Agni appeared there, this being asked, "Who are you?" He said, "I am Agni." "And what is your status? What is your capacity?" "I can burn everything," he said. So he placed a straw in front of you. "Please burn it." And Agni tried, you see, but failed finally. So he retreated and came back. So then Indra sent Bayu. Bayu, you go and try to ascertain. You see. So again, the same question, who are you? What is your capacity, etc. He said, "I am Bayu. I can blow out everything," you see. So again, this straw is, please blow out this straw. So Bayu tried and could not do it, you see. So he returned. So then Indra himself thought that I should go, you see. So when Indra went there, this the Upanishad says that it is Haimavati, Uma Haimavati. That means Devi Durga, the daughter of the Himalayas. She appeared and said that I am this, and I have come here to remind you that you have won in the battle through my support. Otherwise, you could not have done it. So this excess, your joy, is thinking that we have done it, we have achieved it, it is not correct. Be humble. So then you're saying this, Umahaimavati vanished. See, and Indra came back with this knowledge that one should not be proud of one's achievement, because this achievement has been possible through God's grace. So this is the story, a big example in Mane. That means the story is very good and the moral is high. Okay?
I have one question.
Yes?
I was going through a talk of Shami Pitambaranandaji.
Huh?
There he was relating that when some disciples used to come to Holy Mother and they asked to the Holy Mother, "Who are we to you?" Mother replied that you are Brahman first and then you are all my children. So what does that mean?
Um, Mother used not to say like this, you see. Your mother that you are Brahman fast, etc. Mother used not to, you see,
Yes, I was also
confuse.
awestruck
Yes,
and
no, no.
did not
It
understand.
it is Pitambarananda's invention. You see, mother used not to say like this. You see, mother used to say that you are all children, my children, etc., etc. And but she used to say that, you see, sometimes she used to ask the devotees that what is the thing to be prayed for. So devotees, they would fumble, they didn't know. Mother used to say nirbhasana. That means no desire. Desirelessness, you should pray for desirelessness. Nirbhasana. This thing he used to say. And she also used to say that my children, for them, liberation, you see, is guaranteed. You see, is guaranteed. So these things.
Swamiji, the desire for desirelessness is also a desire, isn't it?
Yes, but as Sri Ramakrishna used to say, Sri Ramakrishna used to say that in tropical countries you have very often your stomach trouble due to excessive leafy things. You see, in a tropical country. When such a thing happens, the green called hinche, you should take it. That is also a leafy thing. So that is a remedy for this.
Right.
So you see, so hinche, though it is a green, it
Yes.
should not be, it is not an ordinary vegetable.
Right.
You see. So that is the thing. This desirelessness, this will finish your other desires.
Right. Thank
Yes.
you very much, Swamiji.
Okay.
Pranam Maharaj.
Okay. Thank you.
One more thing, I see Professor Shukla Shanal here. Madam has joined us. I did not have time earlier to introduce her to you. So Madam, please introduce to you very shortly. Shukla Madam, are you there?
She seems to be connected. Yes, I think she's unmuting herself.
Yes. So very sorry because I did not have time earlier to talk. Please introduce Madam very shortly to Maharaj.
Yes, Pranam Maharaj.
Yes.
I can't
Yeah.
see you. Where are you?
You can't see me. Anyhow, let me first introduce. Nice going through this session. I was introduced by my dear friend Anilita. For a long time I knew her. I got the opportunity to see you and meet you and go through the discussion.
Yes.
And in future, again, I wait further. Coming from a bit philosophical background right from my childhood.
Yes.
So I really get interest. I'm basically a literature person, not an engineer or technological. But I really feel myself very lucky to come across Anilita, and through that, once more, Pranam Maharaj, that I'm coming across such, I said, elaborate explanations which I never thought I'll come across. So I'll be very
Okay.
brief right now.
Okay. If it
I will
has.
look forward again and again to meet you and
Okay. Thank you.
welcome, welcome. No mention, Maharaj. Pranam Maharaj.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I take leave of you.
Pranam.
Thank you. Thank
Pranam
you.
Maharaj.
Yes.
Pranam. Pranam.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Yes.
Thank you. আমাকে দেখতে চেয়েছিল